In the Vayne top? Okay. I wonder... if that was actually blinded and Best in Slot were like, you know what, we take the Ornn anyway because we are that confident in our vision for this team comp. And honestly, I wouldn't really blame them. Maybe it's just like a contingency just to be able to play around via Mumu better. Or even the Braum stun. But Cleanse is just not necessarily a summoner spell that helps him that much in the 1v1 against the Ornn. So I guess he is just thinking a little bit further into the future.
30 seconds until minions.
No aggressive movements from either side. We'll have to see where both junglers start, because that could just swing the early game in either direction.
Minions have spawned.
Is Scott going to path topside here on the bye? Just to be able to push his matchup forward in CHD's direction. And then just hope that the bot lane can hold out and just neutralize. Yeah, it's gonna be both junglers starting on the opposite sides of the map. Vi starting on the red buff and Amumu starting on the red buff. Like on the symmetrical portion of the map on the other side. Okay, there's no surprises here. CHD will lose the push in the bot lane. Christian taking some extra damage from the Ornn on the Volcanic Fissure. Best in Slot. Playing nice and smart. Versus the minions. Duke of Jamming goes for an early trade versus the Braum passive, and that's just not where you want to be. Early flash used up. And already forced to recall as well, but oh, you don't want to recall there! That's just first blood for Best in Slot. That is not where you want to recall. Granny Spanner had him in, like, he had him on vision. That was just a free kill gifted to the Sivir. And that is not a good start for Chaotic Disposition going into this series. Sivir will gladly take any gold she can get just to get to three items by faster. And now Chop doesn't even have to visit top at all. Bot lane, sorry. It was just a pretty big slip up from the CHD support. Like, I don't want to harp on that too much, but like, level 2 advantage for Best in Slot was there in a matchup that is already Best in Slot favored. And now Duke of Jamming could be in trouble once again. Chop is applying the red buff consistently. Webley Rocket jumping away. The fear does nothing. Duke of Jamming misses his dredge line. He does not connect with the wall, and that is death number 2 for the CHD support. And now the bandage toss lands onto Bekla too. More flashes having to be burned by the CHD members. And this is just a really, really good early game from Best in Slot so far. Playing aggressively, taking advantage of individual mistakes. Okay. The flash from Scott on the Vi. Yeah, Wibbly, I think, was playing with fire there. I'm guessing he was hoping to buffer the Vault Breaker with his W, but he wasn't able to time it correctly because of the flash. So CHD gets something back at least, but that is a painful sequence for Duke of Jamming, who now is going to be pretty much permanently underleveled for the rest of his laning phase. And the way things are, Best in Slot are just going to be perfectly happy pushing in wave after wave. And that is not something Vel'Koz can respond to very easily. I feel like if they just keep on doing that, you're not exactly applying pressure in a very visible way, but you are forcing Aura to potentially use mana on the minion wave just to CS. And that is valuable in and of itself. Mid lane matchup also looking a little bit better with that extra kill on Wibbly. Bekla playing conservative, knowing that the wave is bouncing into him. There's no reason to do anything rash here. Also, probably not exactly aware of where the jungler could be, so also taking that into account. Early rotation from Best of Slot onto the Grubs, already starting that off. CHD rotating as well. Spies a little bit light on the experience side, but now Best in Slot jumping onto the CHD jungler, but Bekla hits level 6 just in time, and the first kill will go onto CHD, and then the second one as well. Both kills for Bekla. Wow, Wibbly just jumps in. He knows that Bekla does not have the Thea ready, and that is a big, big chunk. But CHD, regardless of what happened mid just now, they will be very happy with what they got. That's 2 kills plus the first 3 grubs of the game. I think it was definitely just a miscalculation when it comes to just how strong Best in Slot was at the time. They thought they could take this skirmish easily, and they decided to rotate. And CHD actually, they just took on the challenge, and they just came out with the whole prize, which does turn this game around for them. But Best in Slot, despite what happened at Grubs, they will be able to trade the objective back here. Well, Bekla really trying for this plate. He does have the jungler around, so Best in Slot cannot afford to chase too far up. Oh, big commitment from CHD, just cease and desist onto Chop. Bekla doesn't have his ultimate up yet, now it's up. So it's a little bit of a mistiming there. I guess CHD just wasn't able to match their cooldowns accordingly just to be able to secure that kill. Was it just about the individual pick? Because, like, you don't really have any neutral objectives you could play for. I guess it's always worth trying in the downtime between objectives. Oh, but now we see a big fight between Shadeless and Christian Simeone. The Condemn will come in, and the Call of the Forge God will miss completely. Good flash from Christian Simeone there. Takes the 1v1 with utmost confidence, like he always does. And that is kill number 4 for CHD. Cleanse still up and available. Chop waiting in the shadows. Looking for a play to make on the other side of the map, but CHD doesn't feel like they will bite, or maybe they will. Duke of Jamming face checks the brush. Now he has to flash out. The Curse of the Sad Mummy is there, and Sivir from downtown will help secure that kill with the boomerang throw, and Duke of Jamming, that is another death for CHD support, which will not result in a dragon, but again, this best in slot bot lane, the more resources they're given, the more time they're just allowed to get stronger and stronger. That's just very good news for a team playing on the red side in this first game. Have to remember that Sivir will be able to have pretty good counterplay in the team fights versus this CHD team. You can block either the Vi ultimate or the Nautilus ultimate, which does make things complicated when it comes to the team fight setup. You could even block the Vex ultimate, which I think just completely nullifies the reset, which I think could be even more painful for CHD later down the line. Spy's making the rotation. Moving in to try and protect their top laner against the dive, and that doesn't feel like the play that was pretty smart. CHD was looking for something in this part of the map. Good spell shield from Granny Spanner. Just like we mentioned, just able to consistently shove in every minion wave that comes in. Best in slot now looking for an aggressive play. Buster shot just to have best in slot follow up faster. Bekla coming in with an ultimate of his own, but it's best in slot already with 2 kills being secured. Bekla trying to secure 1 kill on the outskirts of that fight, but it's still best in slot winning hard. Bekla using his flash to try and get at least something, but it's not gonna work. Wibbly uses his flash just in time, and now Bekla, flashless, is going to fall victim to the best in slot frontline, and that is such a good team fight. Expertly played out by best in slot. That's going to lead straight to the Grubs and potentially also the Dragon afterwards. Although many important cooldowns were expended here, maybe CHD decides they feel like they can take this next fight if they play their cards right. Spell shield once again for Granny Spanner. Yeah, you can see just how difficult it is for best in slot, for CHD to find their targets they're looking for. Christian Simeone walking a little bit too close to the best in slot front line, and that's too much CC. One cleanse summoner spell can't save you out of that one, and even then he didn't even have cleanse to begin with, so this is just an unforced error from CHD, and best in slot are now well and truly in the lead in this game 1. Maybe Scott can interrupt the recall here. Smite's just in time. He will be able to stop that. Now he's trying to stand in the way of Shadeless, but he's going to flash away. Bolt Breaker comes in, and that's the kill.
Turret plating will soon fall.
Dragon number 2 for best in slot. Progressing really nicely into the mid game. There was that one pretty big mistake at the first grub spawn, but now best in slot are feeling confident, but now they've just found themselves in a 2v3 bot lane. The spell shield is not there for the Sivir. Granny Spatter will be able to block the depth charge though. Is that enough to escape the Vi? It is not. And CHD find the play just in time to get their bot lane back in this game. Chop now, bandage tossing in. He lands it onto the Vel'Koz. Aura on fire is gone. Dodges the Vault Breaker nicely as well. Maybe he's feeling confident enough to continue the fight. Bandage toss lands again. just needs a little bit more. Leandri's gonna finish him off. Here comes Wibbly, and that is a 3-4-2 at the end of the day. Best in Slot actually managed to turn it around. Bekla was not following that. Wibbly decides to make a proactive play and just move to the fight. He gets a lot of gold from that as well. First turret down as well. That goes the way of Best in Slot. Vayne was about to get the first turret of their own, but Chop and Wibbly were able to prevent that from happening. So far, so good from Best in Slot. High levels of proactivity. CJ is not present, but Best in Slot still feel like they're playing at a level that we've grown accustomed to, but now Granny is not where he's supposed to be, that's for sure. That is, like, you're just hitting the mid lane tower, and that is not what you want to do versus a Vi or Vel'Koz. But as a consolation prize, there is a kill for Best in Slot down to the top lane. Christian Simeone did not have the support he needed as he was pushing. So it is a bit of a cross-map play. Looks like Best in Slot, they want to trade tower for tower. They also want to make a play down mid, but they don't have Tristan available, so they're just taking a fight at a disadvantage, and they will lose a Mumu here. They will lose the Ornn as well, most likely. Okay, actually, the Vel'Koz skill shot does not land. It was pretty close. The Best in Slot playing a little bit too cocky right now, as Wibbly also finds himself way behind enemy lines and gives up a big shutdown to Scott. Will this tower go down? CHD are not able to keep it standing. A bit of a weird one, but I would say CHD will feel happy about what just happened. They caught Best in Slot in a situation where, like, this were clearly overextending on multiple fronts, and they just got everything they wanted, plus a tower top lane. So just when Best in Slot looked like they were looking clean, going into the mid game, looking stable, cracks are starting to show again, as they perhaps overestimate what they're what they are capable of doing. Like, the mid lane tier 1 tower is usually a big trap for for many teams. Even at the pro level, you see teams overextending for the mid lane tier 1 tower and then just quickly getting punished for it extremely hard. Especially when, like, you have champions like Vi and Nolus who basically specialize at just chasing you down the long lane. You don't want to be overextending like that if you don't have the support from your team. Now we see the teleport from CHD. They want to contest this fight. The flash comes out from Chop at the start of this fight. Wibbly still planted in the side lane, trying to exert pressure. This is a little bit, yeah, they got pushed off from this objective right now. Shadeless is not really there to help him in this fight. You have to see Call of the Forge God here, I guess. If BIS feel like they want this fight, they should just go for it. Chop goes for the steal, he doesn't get it. Now the ultimate comes in from the Ornn. Front to back, nice DPS from the Sivir. There's not really much that CHD can do. In a fight like this, they will just get out team fought every step of the way. It doesn't matter that CHD got the dragon, because now they're just getting bursted down, but oh, that's a good punish from Aura on the backside of that. Wibbly feeling too confident. Without his rocket jump, just unable to escape the disintegration ray, but now he doesn't have it available. Best in slot, I don't think they should be overextending for this tower. Oh, the dredge line actually hits the minion. I feel like that could have been a kill for CHD if that lands. Again, this is just one particular mistake that Best in Slot have to try and avoid if they want to have if they want to win this first game of the series. Whenever someone's pushed in and they don't have coverage from their support and jungler, things like this can happen. CHD can respond and use the tools that they have to get a pick quickly and then just disengage. Now we see a bit of a scuffle between CHD and Biss in the jungle, but it's not looking too good for Biss right now as Vex comes in with the ultimate on the flank and dispatches the Sivir super quickly. It's 3 quick kills for CHD. I don't really understand Best in Slot's idea. Like, Best in Slot's idea of a fight there was just didn't make much sense to me, and now Best in Slot are just forced to play the side lane game, watching the Baron go down. Bekla. Yeah, unfortunately we missed out on like more than 2 minutes of action because of the disconnect. But yeah, we'll see what happens at this dragon as CHD are already sort of in position. They have Vayne available to fight. The cleanse will be coming up soon. Maybe until then, CHD will try and play back a little bit. Good damage onto Shadeless though, who's way ahead of his own team, and he's just going to fall to the combined damage of Vayne, Vel'Koz, and the Vex. And once again, it's Best in Slot perhaps not really committing fully to the play that they wanted to make. Ornn was not in on the plan, and he just gets bursted down there. But now maybe Best in Slot looking for some kind of flank maneuver, maybe some kind of way to take CHD by surprise, and this is exactly what's going to happen. One kill into another. Vayne trying to get some damage output going on the backside. Good cleanse from Christian Simeone isn't going to save him. Now he's trying to auto down the Amumu. Here comes the Vi, bandage toss once again, but there's no follow-up from the Tristana. Leandri's Anguish will not finish off the Vayne. It was a good attempt from Best in Slot, but with the recalls that came in from CHD, they were closer to their own base than Biss was to the opposite bases, essentially. What I'm saying is CHD had the tempo advantage there. So they were able to respond to the play quicker, and that allowed them to salvage it. I mean, CHD are definitely not out of the woods yet. We can see just how devastating Curse of the Sad Mummy can be if it's used on the backline. So, yeah, CHD just have to make sure that they avoid the worst case scenario. Continue to play the side lane game. Continue to play around this Vayne. I think that's the most important aspect here. Obviously, that does leave the other side vulnerable. But we'll have to see what Best in Slot want to do with that. Do they want to make the cross map happen, or do they just want to take the fight on the other side of the map and just take the Vayne down? Now we're moving to the Baron setup. Both teams trying to get mid push as the Baron is going to spawn in 10 seconds. CHD Yeah, with the way the champions work, they are able to secure that mid push before best in slot. Red team here was not able to get the engage off before they got the push, but Baron is not being started just yet. We're going to see this dance continue potentially for another minute or so. Both teams coalescing around mid, just really trying to get some control going here. But they have to be careful. It's the ult onto Spies of all people. The Braum Shield is going to block a lot of damage. The counter engage isn't there for best in slot. Bekla now onto the Ornn. Those are not the targets you want to be looking for. The backline targets for best in slot are still untouched as they continue the team fight. The Disintegration Ray, it does a lot of damage, but Granny's banner is flashing in. He still has enough damage left in the tank to finish off this fight. It was a bad engage from CHD, and they get punished super quickly by best in slot. That's an ace for Biss, and they will be able to end the game right here with this minion wave. Ornn is there to assist as well. This game will end in 28 minutes, just like that. Unless Bekla can do something about it. Maybe he can save the game here. It's 5 seconds left. Shadeless, does he still have Demolish? Demolish, we're not hitting the turret. Now Demolish proccing. All that Wibbly has to do is, well, finish off Bekla and then I guess finish off the game. Rocket Jump is still there. Shadeless CCing the Vayne nicely. Is he able to get to the Tristan in time to stop the game from ending? No, he cannot do it. And that is best in slot, winning game 1. But who's playing what? Is it going to be Galio's support? I guess so. Vigar's runes have changed multiple times in the past, so I'm not sure if Comet is the way to go these days, but I guess it's not. You know, it's gonna be guaranteed value when you land the cage, so there's that.
Seconds until minions spawn.
Again, we're not seeing anything special level 1. Maybe best in slot could have looked for something with Dredge line level 1, but they decided against it.
Minions have spawned.
Granny's banner already securing the level 1 push, potentially, just by positioning in this brush right next to the enemy tower. Pretty important to get that in the early game. They can either get the push faster than their opponents, or just look for some extra harass, just like it happened now. I mean, Sivir will be able to get the push regardless, you have to imagine. Aftershock procced pretty early for Spies. Now he decides to go back in. He doesn't have that anymore, but it's a good trade back from Granny with the Boomerang. So they successfully get this push. Wow, Spies walking in confidently, but he's taking a lot of harass. Trading a lot of health just to secure this level 2. It will go their way, but we have Scott potentially making his way bot lane after just doing 2 camps and nothing more. The first blood will go to best in slot anyway. It will be traded. All 3 flashes used by CHD. Sivir wants to continue going. Lethal Tempo procced. It's 2 kills for Granny Spanner. I don't think you can win this 1v1 versus the Wukong, but given what happened here, it's still a win for best in slot. They managed to turn around the gank like this. And they have all the information they need now on the Wukong. He knows he's going to be doing Raptors next. I don't know if Best in Slot want to make anything happen here. There is movement from Chop and Wibbly. I guess they were expecting him on the Krugs, but it was just red into Krugs into gank, so I guess that's just how CHD's jungler managed to outsmart Best in Slot a little bit, but none of that really matters because Chop went all the way around to gank the CHD bot lane, and once again, they are in trouble on this side of the map. Granny Spanner, once again in a position where he can potentially carry Game 2 and secure Best in Slot the win in this series. Just a really smart sequence from Best in Slot in the early game, once again. Chaotic Disposition, with the early game champions that the enemy team has, they're not really paying them enough respect. This is exactly what can happen. Will they just have to rely on Christian Simeone here to try and get them out of this rut? You know, I trust him to secure a big lead in this matchup, but what happens later, we don't really know. It feels like this, once again, have a really good teamfight comp they can just play towards in the mid to late game. Maybe not as AoE focused, with a Volibear instead having to be picked versus the Amumu, but I think it can work just fine if you give Sivir enough items. We have a quick pause here, but that should not take long. Okay, we're back. We'll see if Best in Slot can punish this bot lane some more with the flashes still down. Ahri should still continue to have this push for the time being. So we'll see if that results in anything. Wukong sneaking the dragon here. There's no vision on him inside of his dragon pit, so PhD will just be able to take this objective. But Best in Slot, they know what they want to play for. They are just moving straight to the grubs instead. Granny Spanner running out of mana here, so he won't be able to just keep the waves pushing for long. He has to take a recall eventually, but It's not like Best in Slot have much to play for. They've already taken the grubs on the other side. Some counter jungling from Chop as well. Oh, Chap actually trying to punish Yone here as he's trying to push into the wave. Meanwhile, Spy's going in, bot lane. They want to secure this win 1v2, and they almost managed to do so. It's a trade of ultimates on the other side as well. Christian Simeone running for his life versus the Volibear. He has a bonus movement speed. He has a flash. It will be a kill. Secures that one successfully, and Best in Slot. Another kill to their name in this early game. Ara still under a lot of pressure. That was a successful all-in from Best in Slot. That just puts Ara even further behind in CS. He will have to recall once again. Scott is still around trying to punish this, but I imagine Best in Slot, all they want to do is just take this minion wave and don't look back. That's all they really want to do. Oh, but Wukong manages to surprise the Nautilus. Spies, I don't think he had any business walking that far down the lane, and that is a successful punish from CHD. Fortunately for Biss, it's not the Sivir that dies. She will be able to make her way back into the lane and not lose that much. Although she did have to wait an extra little while for Essence Weaver. Christian Simeone already doing just fine in the trades. Lethal tempo. Good brittle proc from the Ornn. Both sides still trading aggressively. Oh, Sivir using ultimate. They want to chase Ara down the long lane. He has to flash. Just to keep his health bar nice and full. His teleport is up, but once again, this is that extra layer of safety that is not available to him anymore. And maybe that sets up a potential gank from Chop in the future. And so far, Best in Slot, I feel like they should be feeling very comfortable just playing this one out without really having to feel all that pressured about how this game goes. As long as Sivir is ahead like this, I feel like they are in a pretty good spot. Chop recognizes that fighting a 2v1 would be ill-advised, so he just does not go for the contest, but that does mean CHD have to pull away from the grubs. Ari's called in here, so is the Ornn. Right now it's a 3v2. Duke of Jamming making the rotation. CHD starts the fight. It's a Fate Sealed, taking down all three potentially for Best in Slot. It's a big fight for the #1 seed as more members will go down here. Inevitably. Wibble uses his flash, but it will not matter one bit. This is Best in Slot once again fumbling at the grubs and being punished hard for it. The Sivir's not there. You're kind of lacking in damage when it comes to the extended fight. They didn't really focus who they wanted to focus. CHD just had a really good engage. Like, they played their cards just right, and once again, it's CHD taking advantage of a best in slot mistake. Will that transition into a better mid game this time? That is yet to be seen. The Wukong is very far ahead at this point. He's gonna have this early Triforce. And probably a Sundered Sky after that. And with that 2-item combo, he's gonna be very hard to deal with. Uh-oh. Are on fire, potentially in trouble. The flash into the engage from this from the best in slot support. Best in slot committing hard for his kill. They want to get at least one here, but they will be stopped. They go in too far. The CC does not land in time. The follow-up was not there as Nautilus was engaging best in slot. Too desperate to make the play, and CHD punished just in time. Now things are starting to unravel for best in slot. They saw the angle to punish Vel'Koz once again. He did not have flash. They did calculate the flash timer correctly, but Sivir was just walking down towards the lane. She was not available to match the Nautilus engage with some DPS, and yeah, best in slot once again having to play from behind, but this time it feels like it's a lot worse compared to game 1. This is CHD right where they want to be. And this is right, you know, not too long ago I was saying best in slot, you know, things are going great. It's going just fine. No need to worry. But then one bad fight of Grubs into another bad fight bot lane, and all of a sudden, it's no longer sunshine and rainbows for best in slot. Christian Simeone really close to Blade of the Ruined King. Hollow Forge God is here, but is going to get dodged, and here comes the counter gank from Scott. And this spells trouble for Shadeless as he tries to wall his way down to the tower, but he will not be able to escape. Wibbly is here, but it's a 2v2. I don't know if Best in Slot want to take this. Actually, they feel quite confident in their damage. Perhaps I underestimated just how much they were able to do there. Just enough burst to kill the Yone, and they also managed to take down the tower. But I think it's going to be a trade, given what's happening mid. All things considered, though, it is first turret for Best in Slot, so they get that extra gold. Now they're trying to kill the Vigar, but he might just be able to get a kill back. Yes, he will. Best in Slot actually committing super hard just to kill this Vigar. They get the shutdown, but it goes to the way of Nautilus. So not exactly where you wanted it to go. And now going into the mid game, you have to imagine Chaotic Disposition will be looking very confident, looking for these fights proactively. With the Wukong plus Galio buddy system, or even the Yone plus Galio buddy system, just like they did at Grubs. Proven to be effective. The Vel'Koz just hit an important spike as well, so CHD are in a prime position to make their lead even bigger. "30 seconds until this dragon." Both teams not exactly in a hurry to set up, honestly. You see Chop down in top lane trying to punish Christian, but Chop is going to walk past the ward, so now CHD know exactly where the jungler is. And that should help them just secure mid push and get straight down to the river where they could have numbers advantage. Christian Simeone has the teleport, so does Shateless. We'll have to see what happens next. Juka jamming makes the face check. Keeps himself safe in that situation. The Herald is spawned down top, so CHD, they are actually very happy just playing the side lane game for now. They know Yone has the advantage there, and they will potentially just guide the Herald towards the tier 2 tower, but now CHD actually force and engage, and it looks good. Bekla takes the first kill, Primordial Burst gets another, and there will be a third as well. Bekla gets 3 in that fight. Just a really good engage from CHD. Best in slot caught napping a little bit down in the river, and you know, in a situation where I kind of expected CHD to have to juggle between like avoiding the engage and also letting Christian do his thing, they actually are the ones to strike first, and they get exactly what they wanted out of that situation. And the combo they have at their disposal is really, really dangerous.
Let's run.
What's the next move now for best in slot, I wonder? It's a little bit of a dip in the mid game for this team. The Sivir is not exactly where she wants to be right now. They want to make this pick onto the Vygar. It's a really good charm from Wibbly, but Seraph's Embrace is going to save the Vygar as CHD respond with a teleport of their own right in the nick of time. Christian Simeone, the hero that saves the day, will be able to take another kill. Kills the Ornn as well, and CHD are in control of the map right now. Best in slot making plays in the side lane, still knowing that a teleport could come out. They ran that risk and they paid the price. And this is a familiar picture from a regular season. CHD just... it's an inevitable march towards victory as Christian Simeone gets stronger and stronger on a carry pick, while the rest of the map doesn't seem to suffer at all as a result. Like all sides are winning. If that is the case, you just win the game. And clearly, that is the picture that we're looking at in this second game. Vygar seems to be the key to unlocking this whole process, really. It feels like with this pick, Bekla is able to create a lot more space for his other team members to assist and do some damage. I mean, it also helps that Christian Simeone is on the Yone instead of the Vayne. I feel like this pick is just so much, provides so much more value. It's not gonna be not gonna be scared to say that, as the Disintegration Ray will just do just that to Chop's health bar. He is gone in a matter of seconds, and now, what does that mean for CHD? As Baron is up, they're not hitting it just yet, but very soon I have to imagine they will be in a position where they can just force it. Instead, they will just try to make another pick onto Shadeless. He has to flash just to escape the cage. That is extra pressure that CHD are putting down. Extra vision onto the top side of the map. Good dodge on the charm from Christian. Best in the slot potentially playing for a pick. Down on the bottom side of the map. The charm is there from Wibbly, but the damage is not quite enough to kill Christian as he flashes to safety. CHD are trying to help here, but they are a little bit caught between a rock and a hard place. Are on fire manages to scrape though. Chop now potentially overextended. Duke of Jamming trying to escort his team. Disintegration Ray comes back off cooldown. It's a trade of kills actually. Christian Simeone still looking, but I guess that will be that for this fight. Best in slot get 1. But I imagine it's not quite what they were expecting to get. They were expecting a little bit more, and now they will lose even more as Scott manages to catch them unawares. Quick flash plus decoy combo. Primordial Burst from Bekla secures another, and CHD are in a commanding position as they are now trying to close this game out with a Baron. Not much the Best in Slot can do here. Chop is running to the Baron pit, but CHD will play interference. Wibbly is not even able to get a sniff at the Baron. He just gets killed on the spot. 21-8 on the scoreboard. CHD looking very much like a different team compared to game 1. Now it's straight to the dragon. Now the lane allocations. With how strong Christian is at the moment, I suppose it doesn't really matter which lane he occupies. Even against the Ornn, I imagine he will be able to do just fine. Oh, Spy's coming in once again. But he's under-leveled and he doesn't have the support of his team. He tries to make a big happen, but Wibbly was not willing to participate in that. That is just a flash gone from the Best in Slot support. What is there left to do, really, if you're Best in Slot? You want to lean on the Sivir to try and get some damage going, but feels like she's under a big amount of pressure pretty much every single team fight. The Wukong just creating so much chaos, as now Best in Slot looking for top lane instead, trying to make a big happen. Hero's entrance interrupted somewhere on the other side of the map. Spies, I think, made that happen. He had to sacrifice his own life. However, it's not exactly what Best in Slot were hoping for, because Wibbly is dead, and now Christian Simeone, who is left to hold him down in the side lane here. Best in Slot 1v2 here, just trying to keep Christian from taking the inhibitor. It will continue standing, but that's so much pressure that is taken off mid here as CHD are pushing across 2 lanes. Using the Baron really well. $10,000 gold lead right now, and it's a gold lead that just does not stop growing. Christian Simeone, he's so scary in the side lane. Now he has the support of his mid laner. The teleporting response from Best in Slot. Christian is not stopping though, he wants to continue. He gets charmed. Shieldo protects him though. Bekla gets the first kill. And CHD know exactly how far they can go in this fight. They continue to push it forward. They have gotten 2 kills already. They might even get more. Granny Spanner gets tagged by the Vel'Koz Q. It's gonna be followed up by the Christian dash in, but it's not gonna be a kill just yet. That said, it's clear that CHD are just able to force the issue no matter where they are on the map. Wibbly once again having to charm just to stay alive, dangerously low on health. Instead, it's going to be the Ornn that falls first. And now with the minion wave, CHD perhaps just looking to end this game. But the Sivir wave clear will dissuade them for now. They will be happy with just taking the 2 inhibitors. Playing it exactly by the book. Not leaving Best in Slot any opportunity to even like have any kind of team fight that could potentially go their way. Sivir is more or less online, you could argue, but it doesn't really mean much when the rest of the team is struggling like this. It feels like the game would have to be a lot more even for Best in Slot to stand a chance. Compared to what happened in Game 1, Best in Slot just do not have the damage to compete. They're trying to play off of picks, especially onto Christian Simeone, but every time we tried, we saw them try just that, it's just not enough damage. They're always lacking somewhere. I just don't really see a situation in which Best in Slot can prevent this game from ending. Yeah, the Baron is up. CHD will take it without any resistance. Then they will march down top, and that's gonna be that. They don't even have to dive under tower necessarily because Veigar and Vel'Koz are just really threatening on their own in siege situations. Instead of pushing that wave top, they decided, you know what? Let's just go mid instead. I guess they will try to play around the Veigar cage potentially. Whenever they put one down, they will just use their cooldowns to kill whoever is trapped in the vicinity, and CHD get the first 2 kills of the fight. Ornn will not escape. It's a double for Bekla. What a cage once again, trapping everyone in. It's a 3v5, and Best in Slot, I think they are doomed to watch their Nexus fall. Game 2 will go to CHD. It's a very good rebound for the team. Christian Simeone will just recall. So will Aura. They have teleports. Why wouldn't they do this? Recharge your health bars, go back in, finish the game off. Yeah, Best in Slot, they just cannot hope to withstand the damage, and Chaotic Disposition tie this series 1-1. We will see this series go the distance, and I'm really glad. Seraphine support with Zeri, ADC, and Tristana mid for Wibbly, obviously. I mean, Tristana has to go to Wibbly. And yeah, the Yone will come in instead of the Vayne, so that is the change I wanted to see from Game 1 to Game 2 for CHD, and I'm glad that pick is staying, because it did provide a lot for CHD. Here we are, the final game of the series between Chaotic Disposition and Best in the Slot. The winner moves to losers finals. Then facing one last best of 3 to get to the coveted grand finals of best of 5. And the loser comes away with nothing. Potentially waiting until next season on some other team to fight for glory once again. This is the last chance for either team to keep their hopes alive in the playoff run. Oh, clutch auto from Wibbly right there. May even get another one. Okay. Couldn't quite space his opponent there, but could be threatening a little bit here, and that's the fear already down for Bekla. Wibbly may be looking to pressure level 1 even more. But yeah, Bekla knows exactly where Wibbly is positioned, so I think there will be no trouble there for Mr. Bekla on the Vex. Yeah, once again, I fully expect Best in Slot to retain the push in the early levels. Vel'Koz should not be able to fight early. Level 1, level 2, it should be pretty hard for CHD's bot lane to actually keep up with Zeri Seraphine. But the longer we go, the easier it will get for CHD to just get these short trades off and play off of Vel'Koz's cooldowns. Both junglers pathing towards bottom here. We could be seeing some action pretty soon, like in the next minute or so. Really good trade just now from Wibbly. Press the attack procced. The shield can only do so much. Bekla is not able to fear the Tristana with his shield. Wibbly doesn't have to jump right in his face to continue trading. Oh, Chop shows up bot lane, already using his bandage toss. It will not land. That reveals his position. CHD will just play back and not give Best in Slot a chance to do anything more with the play. But now, just maybe, Wibbly face checking into Scott, or was it Scott face checking into Wibbly? Not quite sure, but CHD feels like they kind of want to find a fight. But Zeri with a nice dodge. Now Best in Slot have a numbers advantage. Duke of Jamming once again caught in the crossfire. And that's Zeri with 2 kills. They could be getting even more as Chop continues chasing. The bandage toss cooldown will be coming up soon. Bekla doesn't have his flash. Scott decides to go in, finishes off Wibbly. That's kind of huge. But Best in Slot will just follow up with flashes of their own, and I don't think Bekla has anywhere to go from here. It's good damage on the follow-up. Scott decides to go back in, but he doesn't have damage. It's too early into the game. He doesn't have items. He goes way too far forward to salvage it. And it's 4 kills to 1 for Best in Slot. Might just be 4 kills to 2 as Aura on Fire just need a little bit more to get that shutdown, and he does get it. Very important kill for CHD to stay in this. It would have looked really, really bad for CHD if they did not get that shutdown just now. It's not only just the bounty, but also the double buffs on Aura. Gives him so much more freedom to just continue shoving in waves. Good hug from Duke of Jamming. The Q lands. Tectonic Disruption doesn't, but still, that's so much damage onto Vizeri, who is already flashless, under a lot of pressure, under this tower. Spy's moving to the Grubs potentially, as Zeri is left under her own tower. Wibbly is called for aid here. Moving down bot lane preemptively to try and prevent a possible dive, but now he has to go back mid to catch the wave. That does create a window where Granny is potentially in some trouble. It looks like CHG will not be taking advantage. Right now it's Best in Slot just pushing the jungler away from the Grubs while Christian Simeone is fighting the Ornn 1v1, but he takes one tower shot too many. And that is 2 kills for Best in Slot as Umumu kills Wukong near the river, and now he's onto the Grubs. This is Best in Slot with a crazy good early game to start off game 3. Zeri is still in a fighting spot bot lane. Best in Slot continue to get more wins on the other side of the map as well. This is just really, really good news all around for the team in orange. While Chaotic Disposition are definitely on their last legs right now. They have to stem the bleeding. Aura could get caught here. He has no flash. The Seraphine damage could just be enough. He needs one more auto. He won't get caught by the dredge line. But Nautilus damage actually makes it a kill for CHD. So Spies was seeing red there. He really wanted that kill. But there's only so much you can do as an enchanter. CHD, they need to be one playing for those picks once again. They want to avoid direct engagement if they can help it, or if you decide to go for that, you need to be the ones dictating the terms of that and just going straight for the jugular, like just trying to make the backline's lives as hard as possible. You have ways to do so. You just need to execute on that. Now Spies trying to get some vision of a tri-bush, and he is met by the jungler and the support. Quick flash for safety, but that is a lesson for the future, you could say. When you're a support, you don't want to be putting down vision all alone. Even if you're a Nautilus, I feel like that's just not something you want to do. But now, Best in Slot potentially looking for a pick. But all it's going to do is force Aura's flash. Not really in a position to dive the Vel'Koz as it stands. He's able to just clear that wave, and we will just go back to regularly scheduled program. Oh, Christian once again looking for 1v1. This time did not take tower shots, forces the flash. That is exactly how you want to be playing this out, despite getting killed there in a pretty unlucky situation. Yeah, he doesn't let that phase him and continues to push the lead in a matchup where he's supposed to be winning. He will be a key player for CHC in the later stages of this game if we get to like the 30th minute plus. That is where I imagine Yone will play a big part in the team fights. Oh, Shadeless doesn't quite hit the knockup. That's a little bit unfortunate for him, and now he's going to take the brunt of the damage. Actually, he's doing quite well for himself. A Bramble Vest actually doing a lot. Shadeless wants to fight here. That forces Soul Unbound from Christian Simeone there, just to try and avoid that. The ultimate was not used. Pretty good dredge line there from CHD, but they decide not to move forward with that. Disintegration Ray is still on cooldown for Aura. Granny Spanner is getting dangerously close to that threshold where he could just get bursted down on the spot. They have to hold on while Best in Slot are taking the grubs on the other side. That is 6 grubs for the team, which, you know, considering Tristana and how annoying she can be in the side lane, that is really good news for Best in Slot going into the mid game. Also taking those grubs away from Yone, that's just the added benefit. Once again, a very proactive play from Best in Slot as they target Bekla again, and it's a kill for Wibbly. 7 kills now on the scoreboard. The Dragon is already up. CHD trying to get something in the counterattack, moving into the red side jungle. Red buff jungle, I should say. We know ultimates are both down for Amumu and Tristana. So, I think they do have leverage to go for this fight if Best in Slot were to contest, but right now it feels like CHD are a little bit lethargic with a dragon setup. Not really deciding to go for it. Christian Simeone once again. He's not yet at a point where he can just safely ignore any instance of damage that comes his way. Shadeless is trading quite well against his opponent. Going dangerously low again. Fate sealed to escape. It will have to be a flash once again as the ram was about to hit him. Shadeless holding his own, forcing the flash. CHD decide against the dragon, and now Tristana's back on the map. With flash still available, Amumu will have his ultimate back up very soon as well. So Best in Slot are in a position where they could still look for this next dragon in the near future, but now it's all about the top lane as they try to kill Christian Simeone, who is flashless, but Chop does not have his flash. He used it in the mid lane. So that's going to be the end of the fight in the top lane, while CHD are starting this dragon off, and yeah, Best in Slot, we'll just have to see CHD take it right in front of their face. They do have mid push, but with the way bot lane is right now, it doesn't really seem to matter. And also, most importantly, they saw Amumu make a move down in top, which definitely meant Best in Slot would have to take a long detour just to rotate and try and fight for that, so that was not going to happen. But that doesn't, you know, I don't think that's a big concern for best in slot. I think the fact that first dragon is 15 minutes, it's actually fine for them, but now they get caught in all of the ultimates from the CHD, as CHD also forced the issue down in mid, and they successfully get the first kill onto Wibbly. Curse of the Sad Mummy coming in just to save his bacon, but it's not going to be enough to shut down. Coming in for Vekla on the Vex. A little bit of extra gold coming in, and CHD is... that's exactly the kind of sequence that they wanted to see. They get summoners down in bot with a really good engagement. They also get 2 kills down in mid. Again, we're looking at a bit of a similar picture. CHD, once again, just taking advantage of the fact that they are very scary when it comes to just chasing people down on any lane, like whether it's just Vex making the first move, or it's Wukong, or Nautilus. CHD are often the team that makes the proactive pick, and then they just work their way off of that. And best in slot, as the opposing team, they can't really afford to make these excursions into the mid lane, just trying to hit the mid lane tier 1 like that. It just doesn't usually end well for you. Now Wibbly's in the side lane instead, but he's going to need more support from support and jungle. Because CHC will definitely try to make picks somewhere to push their lead forward. Shadeless potentially in trouble in the near future, but he has Chop assisting him right now. Does Best in Slot want to commit to this gank in the top lane? I guess they don't really have time to worry about that because they're getting engaged on in the mid lane as Scott uses his Cyclone. The Encore hits too. It's pretty good. But the Shadow Surge from Vekla is even better as they get that first pick onto the Seraphine. It's a kill for Best in Slot on the other side of the map. The Herald will spawn. So potentially, it is a situation where Best in Slot can do a lot of damage with the Herald and the Grubs. But they still have to be careful mid. You don't want to get picked off like this. Orm's still hitting the tower. Yeah, you have to imagine it's going to be taken down. So at the end of the day, Best in Slot, they keep the game even with this macro play. They keep Wibbly planted in the bot lane, he takes that one down. Ornn with the Herald takes the top lane tier 1, so we are still very much even Stevens here. You could argue CHD has a gold lead, but it's basically negligible. But now Dragon setup could be more important. CHD have the positioning in the river. I don't think they're willing to give that one away, but they still have to be extra careful about Vex potentially looking for an engage with Shadow Surge. That one's coming off cooldown pretty soon. As we zoom out a little bit, look at the CHD engage. Scott comes in, Shadow Surge hits Chop. He flashes away from the engage. Shadow Surge whiffs. But still, CHD will be perfectly happy with how this turned out. Maybe they get an extra kill here, though. Onto the Wukong, just that Q was enough, and that means it's still a 3-for-1 for CHD, but their jungler's dead. I don't think that will delay the dragon takedown at the end of the day, but maybe something to think about. I guess, no, this doesn't mean that this will contest, that's for sure. It's a difficult position for best in slot. I feel like they have to do a better job in trying to just safely play these team fights out. Just try and mark the Wukong, prevent him from just accessing the backline like this, and also Shadow Surge also potentially being a problem. Best in slot, I think they have the damage, but they have to try and draw the lines. Just try to draw the lines of engagement, as Bekla had to flash away there, taking a lot of damage in the process. Does that mean best in slot take down the tier 1 mid? They're trying to keep the push going, as right now we're looking at Christian Simeone already making his presence known in the side lane once again. Vex is running mid. Yeah, I think best in slot already are wisening up to what CHD want to do, so they're not just going to walk up mid lane and give CHD a chance to engage. Fate Sealed lands. That's going to be a lot of damage on the Shapeless. Oh, the Soul Unbound runs out. Christian Simeone did not have enough damage in that instance to finish the kill. As CHD continue to put best in slot in a bit of a difficult situation no matter where you look, but maybe now there was a chance for a pick, but Christian Simeone will get away, and then we'll be looking to pester Ornn in the side lane once more. As actually he decides against the recall. I imagine he still has some gold that he needs to acquire before he gets to the shield bow power spike. As now CHD actually playing for the other side of the map. Ornn in a 1v3, I don't think he can buy enough time for best in slot to respond, and even if he could, Bekla is there to kill off any stragglers, and he just bursts down spies where he stands. That's not where you want to be as a support. Now, does that mean Baron for Chaotic Disposition? In a prime position to just start this off, as Christian Simeone just recalled, making his way to the Baron pit. Wibbly has teleport. He recalls, but I feel like, okay, they will just not contest it after all. They want to minimize the damage. They recognize that if they chose to fight here, I feel like it would just end in their demise, so if they don't want to just flip it on a Baron. It's not Elder Dragon after all. There are still avenues for best in slot to try and fight their way back into this game. Chop, bandage toss onto the support. Teleport comes down from Aura. CHD feel like they want to continue this fight and trying to find at least one pick somewhere. They're just gonna chase Chop down. Good buster shot. Will potentially deny CHD, but now they decide to dive in. Wukong protected by the shield, but it's going to be one for one now, but Granny Spanner is caught in the crossfire once again, and the burst is just too much to bear. CHD will just once again be the victors in another team fight. The Wukong engage, the Vex engage. Every time it's CHD pulling the trigger first, and it's they're reaping all the rewards right now. Almost 6,000 gold ahead. And a lot of it is on the mages. Potentially a big pain point for best in slot as they try to just maneuver their way through these team fights. It feels really difficult for them as it stands, but maybe it is because they're just not exactly in a position to respond to Vex just jumping in like that. Are Best in Slot willing to contest the dragon here? Wibbly still with a teleport, but it's CHD who have the river positioning, and that is always going to be important. Spies, he has to be more careful here. The fear will land. He will get caught by the CC again. Shadow Surge lands onto Granny Spatter, and that takes him down to 25%. Best in Slot just completely zoned away from the objective. They might even get killed here once again as Ornn falls next. CHD just know exactly what to do with their team composition, and Best in Slot, they are playing careless. Not respecting what their opponents are capable of, and once again CHD coming in, diving straight onto the Tristana. The Buster Shot will save Wibbly. And now CHD in a bit of a pickle, potentially. Bandage toss onto Juke of Jamming. Oh, Vex and Vel'Koz damage actually will just kill off Chop there. So even though CHD just were right in Biz, like they were right in Biz's grill, right in their base, it just, like, it didn't change a thing. It's still CHD winning another fight. Forcing the issue. Best in Slot need more time, but where do they find it? The clock just keeps ticking mercilessly. The Baron will come up, and they will have to contest it. Yone actually knocks up 3. They wanted to get a pick there, but Critious Simeone, I think, yeah, he was definitely sniffing a potential ambush, and he actually manages to protect himself. So good instincts on his part. And also a cheeky smite from Scott as Aura is left entirely on his lonesome in the side lane. Not really a sight you often see. At least when it comes to just Vel'Koz in general. Best in Slot feeling like they're being spread a little bit thin on the map. Not exactly sure of what part of the map they're supposed to attack. Chop, it looked like he was on vision, but he engages anyway, and they kill the Vel'Koz off. Wibbly jumps to safety. Bekla Shadow Searches in, but he had no follow-up from his team. Best in Slot have finally found the fight. That brings them a little bit closer. But I think more than anything, it was just CHD slipping up in that instance, just mispositioning. Aura staying too long in the side lane, which is followed up by Bekla trying to compensate for what happened and also dying. Big shutdown for Amumu. That gives him Abyssal Mask. The Amar is slowly coming in for Best in Slot's front line, and that is pretty important going into the next team fight. The Infinity Edge upgrades are both available as well. The scaling component is starting to kick in for Best in Slot. CHD still are 7,000 gold up on their opponents, but it's not a done deal. The Baron is the next objective as the focus. Nice buffer from the Wibbly, and now it's the 1v1. Good, really good mechanics from Wibbly as he buffers the Fate Sealed. spaces out Christian Simeone perfectly, avoids the knockup, and just completely wins out on the 1v1. Potentially a game-changing moment in this game, as now Best in Slot, they just go for being engaged. They know they have a numbers advantage. They know they can push forward. Really good interrupt from Bekla. That could have been the kill there for Best in Slot. Instead, it's going to be Chop falling. So CHD, by the skin of their teeth, managed to save the situation. Christian is dead, but CHD remain standing, protecting the entrance to the river. And Best in Slot, they're looking dangerous, but they're gonna have to fight harder to try and win this series. A teleport comes out from a Tristana. Straight down to mid. Mid push is the name of the game. But still, they will have to wait for Chop. He does have Curse of the Sad Mummy when he comes back here. But this is the important portion of the game. Best in Slot, they cannot afford to face check. At least their backline cannot afford to face check. Shadeless, his E is interrupted, and he has no support from his team. The battle lines were separated, and the Orin is dead. Once again, Best in Slot, they cannot fight in the 4v5 now. That was a crucial mistake from the Best in Slot top laner, and that is Dragon Soul for CHD. They could not even put up much of a fight here. Now it's back onto the Baron. Best in Slot obviously didn't have enough time to try and threaten the takedown, but they still have to keep the objective in mind. Now CHD still being one champion up on the map. They know that they just have to force the issue here. Get some vision down. And just create a situation where Best in Slot will have to once again be compelled to face check one of these brushes, and then they can just play off of that again. They have really good champions to get these picks off. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this again. Spies, really far forward. Doesn't use his flash yet. Now he uses it, but it's too little too late. Christian Simeone takes a lot of damage. His shield though procced, but Best in Slot, they still have to retreat. They cannot save their ADC. Their mid laner will fall next, and this is surely curtains for Best in Slot, and they just fall with a whimper. Their top laner gone before the dragon. They just get caught in the mid lane just like that. CHD, they just play their game. And with the tools that we know they have at their disposal, they will just win this series. Chop is unable to save the Nexus on his lonesome. Now Spy's coming back in. Maybe it's a chance for Best in Slot to keep the game alive. They're still focusing down the towers. Bekla's still alive. Wukong down, Nautilus down, it's R on fire, and Bekla focusing down the Nexus. Maybe Chop can save it, actually. Maybe I spoke too soon. Best in Slot will keep the Nexus alive. Bekla flashing away. As long as that one last structure remains standing, the game does not end. And this is a big advantage in tempo now for Best in Slot. This is CHD. They felt like they had the win in their hands. They decide to go for it, and they miscalculate. Just like I did. I thought it was the end of the game. But as it turns out, it wasn't. Chop manages to save it in the end, and now Baron goes to Best in Slot. The gold lead shrinking. The Tristana becoming very, very scary, with a potential 4th item coming very soon. Even more MR for a Mumu. And CHD, if they want to win this next fight, I think they will have to rely on the surprise factor once again. The Elder Dragon setup will be the most important thing in this game. if they can just choke out Best in Slot, choke out their vision, create pockets of Fog of War where Best in Slot will have to just contest and potentially suffer a pick, that is where CHD can once again create advantages and win this game. They also have the option of just playing the side lane with Christian Simeone, can't forget about that. The map is pretty open right now, it's still 2 minutes until Elder. I don't think CHD can afford to get picked off here, so yeah, Ara needs to hold his horses here. But now Bekla could be the one making the crucial mistake. He gets picked off in an instant. CHD's continuing the pressure for a little while longer, but now Christian recognizes that if more people die in this situation, it could get really scary. So they just have to hold off on that. Best in Slot with a little bit of a small window, but I don't think they can move in to get vision. I don't think they can have it. I don't think they have enough time. As things stand right now, they just don't have the necessary minion waves pushed in to move forward into the river, into the enemy jungle to try and get something back. But they'll have to try and do that at some point. It's just one of these golden rules in League of Legends. You can't afford to pick up. You can't afford to give up Elder. Fate Sealed, used up by Christian Simeone. A very big cooldown, now no longer available. One of these tools to dive the backline is not available for CHD as we move to potentially the most important fight of the series. Christian Simeone will get caught by Chop. Do they want to go for this engage? Curse of a Sad Mummy. They will just focus down Christian Simeone potentially. He escapes. But now CHD trying to counter engage. They don't have the damage to follow up. And Best in Slaughter winning the fight right now. They did lose 2. But Wibbly is alive. The most important person on the team continuing to dish out the damage. The shield with the Bloodthirster. Best in Slot, they recognize. Ending the game will be hard. Taking the Elder, on the other hand, looks like an easier task to do. But CHD, they will not give it up so easily. They still have Wukong, Vex, and Vel'Koz. It's essentially a 3v3. Aura on fire. Oh my. Wow. He was really confident that there was no vision in that spot. I feel like Wibbly could have just stomped on his head like Mario does on a Goomba, but now that's exactly what he does to Wukong, but he dies in the process. They dive in too hard, and they lose 2 members. They lose the Mumu Tristana, and they lose the Orin. It's 3 down for Best in Slot. Elder will go the way of Chaotic Disposition, barring some absolute miracle. Chop is still alive. He has the Smite. But Christian Simeone running interference. Bandage Toss actually pulls him closer. Oh no, no! What is going on? Best in Slot. That was not the play to make. Way too desperate to get at least 1 kill. I don't know what happened there. I feel like they just... That was so sad that the series, the series is lost like this for Best in Slot after all the effort that they put in. But on the other hand, you have to... Oh, hold on! Once again! I'm declaring the game lost when it's not! Wibbly just blows Vex and Vel'Koz into smithereens, and we're still playing the game. What is going on? Wibbly is... Wibbly is trying very hard not Not to, he's not letting this journey end at losers semifinals. It's gonna be another Baron. It just had to end like this. Best in slot, it's a team that just does not quit. And Wibbly is certainly a man that does not quit. 40 minutes in, another Baron standoff. CHD, at this point, you have to, like, some doubt has to start to set in. You were at the Nexus twice, and you couldn't end the game. That is not a thing that happens very often. But now there's a bit of a gap that CHD can take advantage of. They will just take the Baron instantly. Best in slot, they will not contest it. But even with that, they are perfectly capable of winning a fight. It's still CHD with the Elder, though. So it does mean Best in slot have to be very careful with the approach. The Nexus is basically all that stands in the way of CHD. One more inhibitor down, Dredge line gone, Aura on fire, dangerously close to the Best in slot front line. It's just the inhibitors. Actually, the bottom inhibitor tower is still standing, but like, really, Best in slot's base is hanging on by a thread. Just held down by mostly duct tape at this point. But Tristana and Zeri's wave clear, like, it's doing its job. That's what's keeping Best in slot in the game. Tristana already at full build essentially. Zeri will get there soon. Oh, chop, 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 chop! You can't afford to take red buff at this junction. He's going to die. Oh no. The game cannot end like this. That would be such a tragedy. I mean, it is just... At this point, it's just an error you can't afford to make, but if it ends like this, after just a singular pick that should not have happened, that would be a tragedy for Best in slot, but they could still find a way to fight back. Christian Sivioni CC'd up! Once again, in a lot of trouble. Wibbly against the world, he jumps in, but Zonya's Hourglass will stop him. The CC will stop him. Tristana's down. Granny Spatter's down. There's no more damage left. CHD will make good on their promise. Third time's the charm. The Nexus will go down. Best in slot could not have held more bravely than that, but it was just one mistake too many. And Chaotic Disposition are moving to losers finals.